Every single day, you tell dozens of micro lies to the people you care about most.
Hmm.
And I think the craziest part about this whole phenomenon is that society actually demands that you do it.
Right. It's practically a requirement.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Like, think about it. You walk into the office or, you bump into a neighbor at the grocery store and they ask you that standard reflexive question.
How are you?
How are you? And you don't even pause. You don't, like, run a diagnostic on your actual internal emotional state.
No, of course not.
You don't evaluate your mounting inbox or the fight you had with your spouse or, I don't know, the incredible sense of peace you felt on your morning run.
You just completely bypass all of that human complexity.
You bypassed it all,
Like,
and you deploy the three most dangerous words in the English language.
I'm fine.
I am fine.
Yeah.
We all do it. It is this automatic, robotic response
Yeah.
exchanged between two human beings who then just continue walking in opposite directions.
Having transferred absolutely zero actual information.
Literally none.
Yeah. I mean, it functions almost entirely as as a sociolinguistic placeholder.
Placeholder. Right.
We make a sound with our mouths that, it mirrors the cadence of a human interaction, but we actively strip it of any substantive payload.
Oh, I like that. Substantive payload.
Yeah, we're basically just pinging a server just to see if it's online, not to actually download any data.
Pinging a server. That is such a much better way to look at it than the old, tired cliches about conversational tennis.
Right. The tennis analogy is a bit overdone.
It is. It really is like a network protocol. We are just executing a digital handshake.
Exactly.
So today's deep dive is centered on a source that, on its surface, it appears to be this simple instructional guide for English language learners who are just looking to sound more natural.
But it's actually doing a lot more than that.
It is. Diving into the architecture of this material, it reveals something much more profound. I mean, it is a masterclass in breaking out of that robotic network protocol.
It really is.
So the mission today is to extract the underlying communication strategies embedded in this framework. The goal is to help you figure out how to match the words coming out of your mouth to the actual feelings you're experiencing inside.
Right, to transform that sterile data ping into a genuine human connection.
Exactly.
Because the transition the material advocates for is the leap from mere syntactical correctness
Right.
to actual sociolinguistic authenticity.
Mm.
It forces us to confront the reality that language evolved for a purpose far more complex than just, obeying the mechanical rules of grammar.
Yeah.
When we rely on I am fine exclusively, we are satisfying the mechanical requirement of an adjacency pair.
An adjacency pair.
Yeah, a question followed by an answer.
Yeah.
But we are utterly failing the social requirement of the exchange.
Well, I want to push back on the idea that this is a failure right out of the gate.
Okay, fair enough.
Because we need to look at the I am fine paradox that the source material actually highlights. The material explicitly points out that I am fine is grammatically flawless.
Right. Subject, verb, adjective. It works perfectly.
It works, and honestly, sometimes I genuinely am fine.
Sure.
I'm not euphoric, I'm not in crisis, I am just existing in a baseline state of equilibrium.
Right. The neutral zone.
Yeah. So if the phrase accurately describes my internal state, why is it characterized as a conversational dead end? Like, why is it dangerous?
Well, the danger doesn't lie in the phrase itself. It lies in its monopoly over your communication.
Oh, interesting. Monopoly.
Yeah, the material diagnoses the issue really clearly here. The critical error is the repetition.
Ah,
If I am fine is the only tool in your sociolinguistic toolbox, you just apply it indiscriminately.
to everything.
Exactly. We can look at that through the lens of information theory.
Okay, break that down for me.
Well, in any communication channel, if the signal is entirely predictable, it carries zero information.
Right. Because you already know what's coming.
Exactly. If you say, I am fine, when you just closed a massive business deal, and then you say, I am fine, when your dog just died,
Oh, wow, yeah.
the phrase just ceases to carry meaning. The person listening to you learns to subconsciously filter it out as background noise.
It degrades the signal completely.
Precisely.
Because if I'm the person asking you how you are, and I get that identical flat response on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, regardless of the actual context of your life,
You're going to stop asking.
I am eventually going to stop asking. The material warns that this repetition makes language sound flat and unnatural.
Which is really a mild way of saying it actively repels human curiosity.
Yeah, it builds a wall.
It creates a completely closed loop. I mean, we have to understand why human beings develop these greeting rituals in the first place.
Right, where does this come from?
Anthropologists often refer to this as phatic communion.
Phatic communion.
Yeah. It's language used to establish an atmosphere of sociability rather than to exchange complex ideas.
Okay.
So early hominids needed a way to signal, hey, I acknowledge your presence and I am not a physical threat to you.
Wow. So it's literally survival.
That is the evolutionary root of how are you. But, we've evolved past merely needing to know someone isn't going to attack us.
Right. I would hope so.
We want to know where they stand in the social matrix now. So when you utilize only one monotonous response, you project a lack of conversational agility.
You're doing the bare minimum to signal you aren't a threat,
Exactly, but you are refusing to actually participate in the social matrix
which isolates you.
completely.
And the material promises that building a small, curated collection of natural answers does the exact opposite. It builds social confidence.
It gives you the bandwidth to actually transmit data when someone
Yeah.
pings your server.
Okay, so if I am fine is this low bandwidth flatline response, we need to figure out what a high bandwidth packet looks like.
Right.
The framework handles this by explicitly calibrating for the highs. It provides tools for the days that objectively defy the definition of fine.
It mandates emotional alignment. This is such a crucial concept.
Yeah, emotional alignment.
The underlying philosophy here is that your vocabulary must carry the weight of your internal state.
Right.
If you are experiencing a significant positive event, using a diminutive phrase like fine is actually a form of self-sabotage.
That's a strong way to put it. Self-sabotage.
But it is. The material provides specific alternatives, and it categorizes them by the intensity of the positive experience.
Right. So for a genuinely good day, it suggests I'm doing great.
Mm-hmm.
And it ties this to concrete personal victories, like passing a difficult exam, getting a promotion, finishing a massive, grueling project.
Things that take effort.
Yeah, these are moments that require massive energy expenditure. You studied, you worked late, you fought for that promotion.
And yet, psychological studies on the tall poppy syndrome, or just the general fear of envy, they show us exactly why people suppress the expression of that energy.
Oh, that's interesting. Tall poppy syndrome.
Right. It's this cultural conditioning in many environments
Yeah.
where we downplay our successes so we don't alienate our peers.
We don't want to stand out too much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We minimize our achievements just to maintain that friction-free status quo.
But bearing the lead of your own life like that has a psychological cost.
A huge one.
When you achieve something substantial and someone asks how you are and you just default to fine, you are invalidating your own hard work.
Yeah.
You are literally telling your own brain that the accomplishment doesn't warrant recognition.
Right. And the material is giving the listener permission to increase the bandwidth, to say, I'm doing great. It's an assertion of presence.
It is.
In positive psychology, there's a concept known as capitalization.
Capitalization.
Yeah, it refers to the process of sharing a positive event with others, which actually magnifies the positive emotion for the person sharing it.
Wait, really? Sharing it makes you feel it more.
Absolutely. The material is essentially teaching the linguistic mechanics of capitalization.
Wow.
By externalizing the joy with a phrase like, I'm doing great, you aren't just informing the other person, you are reinforcing the reality of the success for yourself.
That is so powerful, and the framework pushes this even further for moments of peak experience.
But the absolute zenith.
Yeah, if doing great is for passing an exam, what is a protocol for just like the absolute top? The material suggests that for extreme happiness, like getting amazing news or landing a dream job, you need a phrase that matches that frequency.
Right.
So it suggests, I'm fantastic.
The word fantastic is fundamentally disruptive in a casual social setting,
It really is.
which is precisely why it works. It breaks the predictable rhythm of the phatic exchange.
Yeah, it shocks the system.
Exactly. When someone expects a low energy, I am fine, and you just hit them with a high energy, I'm fantastic,
Yeah.
you force them to actually process the data packet you just sent.
You snap them out of their own autopilot.
You do.
I see a potential issue here, though.
Yeah.
If I'm walking into the office on a Tuesday at, say, 8:00 a.m., and the receptionist asks how I am, and I blast them with, I'm fantastic, it borders on aggressive. I mean, it feels incongruous with the environment. If the goal is authenticity, isn't there a risk of over-indexing on enthusiasm and coming across as, like, a manic caricature?
That is a highly valid concern, and it really exposes the risk of adopting high-energy phrases without contextual awareness.
Yeah.
However, the material anticipates this. It doesn't suggest using fantastic as your new default.
Thank goodness.
It reserves it specifically for moments of extreme, genuine joy. The core rule remains. The words must match the feeling.
The feeling, right?
If the feeling is just a baseline Tuesday morning, using fantastic is just as much of a sociolinguistic lie as using fine when you just won the lottery.
So it's really about dynamic range.
Exactly.
We need to be able to hit the high notes when the score calls for it, instead of compressing the entire audio track into a single muddy midtone.
That's a great way to visualize it.
Yeah, I want to challenge you, the listener, right now. Think about the last time you experienced a genuine, objective win.
Right, a real victory.
Did you own that feeling when someone asked how you were? Or did you automatically throttle your own bandwidth?
Did you downplay it?
Did you downplay your own joy just to stick to the predictable social script? Because this source material is arguing that sharing a genuine high-energy response isn't boastful. It is a vital component of natural human connection.
It enriches the social ecosystem.
It does.
Emotional contagion is a well-documented phenomenon. When you inject genuine enthusiasm into a rote interaction, you often elevate the emotional state of the person you were speaking with.
You give them a boost.
You provide a momentary break from their own mundane routine.
But let's look at that mundane routine, because statistically, the vast majority of our days do not involve promotions or new jobs or life-altering news.
Right, sadly.
Most days are the definition of the middle ground. The inbox is moderately full, the commute was slightly annoying, the coffee is, lukewarm.
Just a standard Tuesday.
Exactly. The material refers to this as nothing amazing, nothing terrible, just normal. If we are abandoning I am fine as our default, how do we navigate this vast gray expanse of normalcy without sounding robotic on one end or falsely euphoric on the other?
Well, the material handles this middle ground by introducing one of the most complex, invisible structures in human communication.
Which is?
Social register.
Okay.
It provides a menu of options that calibrate not just for the internal emotional state, but for the external social hierarchy and environment.
Register is fascinating because it's something we all navigate intuitively.
Right.
But we rarely consciously dissect it.
Absolutely, we do it without thinking.
The material suggests that for a friendly, natural interaction, say with a peer or a close colleague, the ideal response to the baseline day is, I'm pretty good, thanks.
Let's analyze the specific lexical choices there. Pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
In linguistics, the word pretty in this context acts as a hedge.
A hedge.
Yeah. It softens the absolute nature of the word good. It acknowledges that perfection has not been achieved, which signals a grounded realism to the listener.
It's honest.
It is. It is fundamentally different from fine, which implies this static, unmoving state. Pretty good implies an active, positive assessment of a mundane situation.
I genuinely appreciate the philosophical weight of pretty good.
Right.
Because it frames normalcy as a positive state. It rejects that modern notion that if you aren't, crushing it, you are somehow failing.
The hustle culture mentality.
Exactly. It accepts the Tuesday for what it is and says, this is acceptable and pleasant.
Yeah.
But the material immediately contrasts this with the different environment. It asks us to imagine speaking to a manager, a teacher, or someone we just don't know well.
The different register entirely.
Right. In that scenario, I'm pretty good, thanks,
Uh-huh.
is suddenly the wrong tool.
Becomes a violation of register.
Okay.
Irving Goffman, the sociologist, he wrote extensively about the presentation of self in everyday life.
I've heard of that.
He proposed that we are constantly managing the impression we make on others, adjusting our performance based on whether we are on the front stage with an audience or the backstage with our peers.
So, talking to your manager is basically a front stage performance.
Precisely.
And for that, the material suggests a subtle shift. Instead of, I'm pretty good, thanks, it prescribes, I'm doing well, thank you.
Look at the microlinguistics of that shift, too. It moves from the casual adjective good to the formal adverb well.
Oh, yeah.
It moves from the truncated thanks to the complete thank you.
Right.
To a native speaker, this shift is entirely subconscious, and the material offers a third variation for the most casual of environments.
Okay, what's that one?
For short, passing interactions with close friends, it strips it down to the absolute minimum. I'm good.
I'm good.
Mm.
It's incredibly efficient.
Very.
It's the conversational equivalent of just a quick head nod.
Exactly. The mastery of these three phrases, pretty good, doing well, and good, it allows a person to fluidly adapt to their environment.
It prevents friction.
It prevents the friction that occurs when you use the wrong register. Like answering a CEO with a flippant, I'm good,
Right.
Or answering your best friend with a rigid, I am doing well, thank you.
Oh, that would be so weird.
Both are grammatically correct, but sociolinguistically they are disastrous. They create immediate discomfort.
It's the equivalent of wearing a tuxedo to a beach bonfire, or like board shorts to a funeral.
Perfect analogy.
The clothes might be well made, but they demonstrate a fundamental misunderstanding of the room. The material gives us the appropriate wardrobe for the middle ground. But here is where we hit a structural pivot in the framework,
Right.
because it reveals that picking the right phrase is only the initial step. You stop there, you still fail the interaction.
You do.
The real architecture of connection happens in what you do after you deliver your calibrated answer.
This is where we return to your network protocol analogy.
Yes.
A successful connection requires more than just acknowledging the ping.
Right.
The material explicitly warns against the dead end. It points out that you don't have to stop after answering. If you say, I'm pretty good, and then you just fall silent,
You have terminated the connection prematurely.
you've received the data packet, but you haven't sent the acknowledgement back to keep the session alive.
The material suggests appending a very simple mechanism. How about you? By doing this, it states, now you have a conversation, not just an answer.
In the field of conversation analysis, founded by sociologists like Harvey Sachs, there is a deep focus on turn-taking. Conversation is not a simultaneous broadcast.
No, that would be chaos.
It is a finely tuned sequence of turns. When someone asks, how are you? They are opening a turn-taking sequence.
Right.
If you answer and do not offer a prompt in return, you're violating the implicit rules of the sequence. You are leaving the other person stranded in social silence.
Oh, I hate that feeling. It forces them to either awkwardly invent a new topic out of thin air or just physically walk away.
It creates immense social friction.
But by adding, how about you, you seamlessly transfer the conversational floor back to them.
Exactly.
It is a low-effort maneuver that yields a high-reward outcome. It sustains the interaction.
And the framework introduces a more advanced variation of this turn-taking protocol when it deals with time-shifted interactions.
Time shifted.
Yeah. It asks us to consider the scenario where you run into a friend you haven't seen in a long time.
Oh, right.
They don't use the present tense, how are you?
Yeah.
They ask the encompassing, how have you been?
Right, which requires a different type of data packet altogether.
It does.
The material advises against a simple, I am fine, and suggests, I've been great. But it doesn't stop there.
No.
The critical instruction here is to add a contextual detail. The example provided is, I've been great. I've been really busy with work.
Let's dissect why that specific addition is so powerful.
Please do.
In the architecture of small talk, the hardest part is finding a mutual topic.
Oh, for sure.
By offering the detail, I've been really busy with work, you are volunteering a topic.
You're giving them something to grab onto.
You are providing what the material calls something to talk about. You are giving them conversational bait.
You are drastically lowering the cognitive load for the other person.
Exactly.
Because if I just say, I've been great, how about you? Sure, I am forcing you to do the heavy lifting of figuring out what we should discuss.
Which can be exhausting.
It is. But if I say I've been busy with work, I am handing you a roadmap.
You are.
The material points out that the natural, almost automatic follow-up question becomes, really, what have you been working on?
It creates a self-sustaining loop. The initial exchange of phatic communion has now successfully transitioned into an actual exchange of information.
The ping has established a high bandwidth connection and data is now flowing.
Right, and what is vital to recognize here is the accessibility of this technique.
How so?
The vocabulary used, busy with work, is incredibly simple. It does not require complex storytelling skills or advanced vocabulary.
You don't have to be a stand-up comedian.
Exactly. It relies entirely on structural mechanics.
It demystifies the anxiety surrounding small talk. You know, people dread networking events or running into old acquaintances because they think they need to be intensely charismatic.
Or possess a repertoire of fascinating anecdotes.
Right. But this framework proves that charisma is largely structural.
It is.
You answer the prompt, you append one simple contextual detail, and you pass the floor back.
It is literally an algorithm for connection. But this algorithm faces its greatest stress test when the internal data contradicts the expected social output.
Okay, meaning what?
We have mapped out the highs and the mundane middle, but we must address the inevitable lows.
Right. What happens when the server is genuinely crashing?
Exactly.
If the mandate is your words should match your feeling, What do we do when we are exhausted, stressed, or experiencing a legitimately terrible day?
It's a tough spot.
Many communication frameworks subtly encourage a form of toxic
They
positivity.
do.
Subtly encourage a form of toxic positivity.
They do.
They imply that bringing negativity into a casual exchange is a burden, so you should just plaster on a smile and say, doing great, regardless of the reality.
And that approach fundamentally breaks the rule of emotional alignment,
Right.
which results in a performance that often feels deeply inauthentic to both parties. People can tell when you're faking it.
They really can. But this source material takes a remarkably grounded approach. It acknowledges that sometimes you are simply not having a great day.
Mhm.
The first negative scenario it addresses is physical exhaustion. It notes, maybe you're tired. You don't want to say, I'm great.
Right.
So it offers a specific calibrated phrase, I'm a little tired today. I didn't sleep well last night.
We need to examine the psychological weight of this specific example. The material explicitly praises this response by noting, and you're being honest.
Honesty.
Honesty in casual interactions is often perceived as a massive risk.
It feels risky for sure.
We operate under the assumption that the other person desires a friction-free exchange, and that introducing negativity violates the social contract of the greeting.
We don't want to be perceived as a complainer.
Exactly.
Or worse, we don't want to dump our emotional baggage onto someone who just casually nodded at us in the break room.
But there is a massive difference between venting and signaling.
Signaling.
Yes.
No.
What the material is suggesting is a carefully calibrated signal. In psychology, there is the concept of the vulnerability loop.
Oh, I think I read about this.
It's heavily popularized by researchers studying trust and team dynamics. When person A signals a small, manageable vulnerability, and person B acknowledges it without judgment,
Trust is built.
trust is built. I didn't sleep well last night is a perfect low-stakes vulnerability.
Because it is universally relatable, every human being has experienced a poor night's sleep.
Right.
By sharing that specific, bounded piece of negative information, you aren't asking the other person to solve your problem.
You're not asking them to be your therapist.
Exactly. You are simply inviting them to empathize with a shared human condition. You are opening a tiny window into your reality.
And by doing so, you invite a momentary, genuine connection. The other person can simply say, oh man, I know that feeling, hope you get some rest tonight.
And the interaction concludes successfully.
It fulfills the social obligation while maintaining absolute authenticity.
It's a win-win.
It is. And this calibrated approach is pushed a step further when the material deals with a day that isn't just tired, but actively difficult.
Right. So for a genuinely difficult day, the framework suggests, I'm not doing so well today.
I'm not doing so well today.
It's heavy.
It is a stark departure from the expected script, yet it remains firmly within the bounds of politeness.
It creates an immediate conversational fork in the road, doesn't it?
It absolutely does.
When you deploy that phrase, the material points out that a friend will likely ask what happened.
Right.
You have issued a bid for connection, to use the terminology of relationship psychologist John Gottman.
Yes. Bids for connection.
You put a bid out there, I'm not doing well. If the other person ignores it and just walks away, the bid is dropped.
Which hurts, but it happens.
It does. But if they ask what happened, they have accepted the bid. They have turned towards you.
And here is where the framework provides the necessary guardrails.
Guardrails.
Yes. Once the friend asks, what happened,
Mm-hmm.
it does not authorize a 30-minute monologue detailing every grievance in your life.
Oh, right. You can't just unload.
No. It relies on the same principle of simple, bounded explanation. It suggests saying, I had a really busy day at work, or I'm just feeling a little stressed.
It keeps the payload manageable.
Precisely.
Feeling a little stressed communicates the negative state clearly, allows the friend to offer support like, I'm really sorry to hear that, let me know if I can help, and then allows the conversation to resolve naturally.
It transforms a robotic greeting into a micro moment of actual human support.
It is a masterclass in establishing psychological safety in micro-interaction.
It really is.
However, there is a space between the acute stress of a difficult day and the mundane normalcy of a pretty good Tuesday.
Right.
There is a specific state of being that encapsulates the enduring low-level friction of modern life. And the material isolates a phrase for this that is philosophically profound.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
It highlights a phrase it calls a very interesting answer. The setup is simple. Someone asks how you are, and you respond with, can't complain.
Can't complain. We really must dive deeply into the sociolinguistics of this specific idiom.
Let's do it.
The material translates the underlying meaning perfectly. This means things are okay, maybe life isn't perfect, but you're doing fine.
It is the ultimate expression of everyday stoicism.
Yes, exactly.
I am so fascinated by this phrase because it holds an inherent contradiction.
How so?
When you say can't complain, you are simultaneously acknowledging that there is an inventory of things you could complain about.
Oh, for sure.
Your car is making a weird noise, your taxes are complicated, your back hurt.
The list is endless.
The friction exists, but by verbalizing can't complain, you are making an executive conscious decision to deny those negative elements oxygen in this specific social interaction.
You are claiming agency over your narrative locus of control.
Wow, yes.
You are acknowledging the external realities that life is imperfect, but you are asserting your internal authority to not be defined by them in that moment.
That is so true.
You are telling your conversational partner, relative to the grand spectrum of human suffering, my current inconveniences do not warrant detailing.
It is incredibly socially graceful. It acts as a powerful social glue, you know?
It does.
When you say can't complain, you aren't alienating the other person with false high-energy positivity when they might be struggling,
Right.
but you also aren't dragging them down into a pit of negativity. It establishes a camaraderie built on the unspoken agreement that existing in the modern world is a complex, sometimes frustrating endeavor.
But we are both upright and navigating it.
Exactly.
It builds solidarity.
Yeah.
It is a highly natural, casual response that fits perfectly into the vast majority of adult interactions.
From talking to a neighbor over the fence?
To chatting with a vendor before a meeting begins. It is the linguistic embodiment of resilience.
So if we look at the entire architecture we've mapped out from the source material, we have an incredibly robust system here.
Very robust.
We know how to execute the high bandwidth packets for great news. I'm fantastic.
Right.
We know how to code switch our register for normalcy, pretty good, versus doing well.
Yes.
We know the algorithms for turn taking and keeping the connection alive. How about you? Plus a contextual detail. We know how to safely deploy vulnerability, a little tired. And we have embraced the stoic solidarity of can't complain.
It is a completely comprehensive framework for sociolinguistic competence.
I see a massive implementation problem, though.
Oh, what's the problem?
If I am someone attempting to overhaul my communication habits, or if I'm an English learner trying to integrate all of this, the sheer volume of options is paralyzing.
It's a lot to take in at once, yes.
If someone walks up to me in the hallway and says, "How are you?" and my brain has to rapidly cross-reference my internal emotional state against the social register of the person asking,
Right.
and then scan a database of 8 different calibrated responses, and then remember to append a turn-taking follow-up, my brain is going to crash.
Total system failure.
I am going to experience system overload and revert instantly to the factory default.
Die.
I am fine.
Which is exactly what we are trying to avoid.
Right. So how does a system this complex get adopted without causing conversational paralysis?
This is where the material reveals its deep understanding of cognitive psychology.
Okay, tell me more.
It actually anticipates this exact paralysis. In UX design and psychology, there is a principle known as Hicks' Law.
Hicks' Law.
Yes. It dictates that the time it takes for a person to make a decision increases logarithmically as the number of choices increases.
So more choices means slower decisions.
Precisely. Too many choices lead to cognitive overload, which inevitably results in the user defaulting to the easiest pre-existing behavior.
Which is, I am fine.
Exactly. The material bypasses Hicks' Law entirely with its concluding strategy, which it labels the secret.
The secret, I love it. It is a masterstroke of behavioral design.
It is.
It states plainly, you don't need to memorize all of them today. Choose just 2.
Choose just 2. By artificially constraining the menu, the framework radically reduces the cognitive load.
It makes it manageable.
Right. When you are in the hallway and the prompt arrives, your brain does not have to sort through the entire database.
You don't have to scan all 8 options.
No, it only has to select between the 2 specific tools you have placed on your workbench for that day.
It provides a frictionless on-ramp to habit formation. You don't remodel your entire communication style overnight.
Nobody does.
The material outlines an iterative loop. Choose just 2, practice them, use them in real conversations, then add 2 more. It's about building the repertoire systematically.
It moves the process from theoretical knowledge to active contextual application.
Yeah.
And to facilitate this, the material provides a simulated environment to test the first iteration.
Oh, the practice module.
Yes, it initiates a real-life practice module, forcing the learner to actively break the I am fine reflex in a controlled setting.
It sets the stage. Imagine we're meeting for the first time, and then it delivers the prompt. Hey, how are you? The crucial mechanism here is that it explicitly forbids the default. Don't say, I am fine. Choose one of the new answers.
This forces active recall. If we run the simulation based on the parameters we've discussed, and you deploy, I'm doing great, how about you?
Right.
You have successfully navigated the emotional alignment and the turn-taking protocol.
Then it alters the parameters to test adaptability. It prompts with the time-shifted question, hey, how have you been?
Which requires the contextual detail formulation. I've been great. I've been really busy with work.
Right.
You provide the data packet and the conversational bait.
And finally, it tests the vulnerability loop. How are you today, if your child say, and it forces the deployment of the bounded negative response, I'm a little tired today.
Yeah.
By walking through these scenarios, the framework provides immediate, tangible proof that the architecture works. It proves that a natural conversation is simply a sequence of calibrated, intentional choices.
It demystifies the art of connection, showing that it is not an innate magical ability, but a learnable set of protocols.
I want to turn this directly to you, the listener. The framework demands that you choose just two.
Just two.
I want you to evaluate your current operational environment. What are the two phrases you need to load into your active memory right now?
Good question.
Are you in a season of grinding out a difficult project? Maybe you need to load, I'm a little tired today, to allow for some grace.
Or are you operating in a highly formal corporate structure? You need to lock in, I'm doing well, thank you.
Or perhaps you just want to inject some resilient solidarity into your day, and you are going to adopt, can't complain, whatever they are. Define your two phrases right now.
It requires intentionality. You have to consciously overwrite the code that triggers the automatic reflex.
As we synthesize the architecture we've explored today, the overarching theme is undeniable.
It really is.
We started with a source material designed to teach vocabulary, but we ended up mapping the invisible structures of human connection.
Quite the journey.
We learned how to abandon the low-bandwidth, robotic ping of I am fine and replace it with the dynamic system capable of transmitting genuine joy,
Navigating social hierarchies.
maintaining conversational momentum.
And fostering trust through bounded vulnerability.
The material issues a final, pragmatic directive. Don't just learn English, use it.
It is a reminder that theoretical understanding of sociolinguistics is totally useless if it is not deployed in the field.
I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to consider, which builds on the core premise that your words should match your feelings.
Okay.
We've operated under the assumption that the internal feeling dictates the external word, right?
That's been the baseline.
But in cognitive science, the theory of linguistic relativity suggests that the language we use actively shapes our perception of reality.
Oh, well. The Sapir-Whorf hypothesis.
Exactly. So if this is true, is the mechanism bidirectional? If you intentionally force a higher bandwidth response, if you choose to say, I'm fantastic, instead of a muted default response.
Does the act of externalizing that energy actually construct the emotional reality?
Does speaking the word begin to generate the feeling?
It's a profound question regarding the locus of emotional generation. Are we merely reporting our state, or are we actively authoring it through our lexical choices?
I challenge you to test that hypothesis. In your very next interaction, do not just report your status. Author it.
I love that.
Ditch the default protocol. Increase your bandwidth. Send a complete data packet. Keep the connection alive, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.